Yeah, Dave, I think you bring up a really good point that, like, at the upward bound level, right, at that pre-college level, you're experiencing very different kinds of challenges than at the college level. We're seeing AI impact our incoming students, especially with academic dishonesty, right? They're being accused of plagiarism and that kind of stuff. So that's where we're seeing that play out more, and going through the student conduct process, because the university's already implemented some policies. If an instructor refers a student for conduct, they don't have to. They could handle it in-house, or they can refer out. But yeah, just really complex and different challenges depending on the age group that you're working with.
And somebody else mentioned this. I think it's really critical to keep that in mind, because one of the things that robs students of is going through the process, right? And so if you're a professional that's trying to get through the day and get stuff done, and you might have a very different tact on it than somebody who's, isn't going to remember what they wrote about in 5 years, but is going to remember having learned how to do it.
One of our so Jordan, who works as a consultant for OTA and kind of helps with our social media, he's currently an SSS student at Portland State University. And he has talked to me before about how he's used it within academia. And he's like, I just cite it, right? On all the papers and the works you do, you can just cite that, like, this paper, this essay, whatever, was edited using ChatGPT. So he doesn't like hide the fact that he's using the tool to help craft the stuff he's working on. And then it's just up to kind of those professors, if they don't want it on there, then you need to know to not use it. But he's just been upfront of like, yeah, I'm using this. Now there's a difference between using this to research versus using this to like edit. I think that because you can try to use it to research and it'll like do a pretty good job if y'all have not messed around with this. I know we're kind of honing in on Chat GPT specifics here. But it is like I can ask it to, it's mostly a tool of prompts. If you are unfamiliar with Chat GPT, if you know how to ask it questions, it can give you just about anything. But I can have it create a student trio testimony, right? Like write a personal statement about your experience as a trio talent search student in the Portland State University program where you went to Centennial High School. Use personal anecdotes, and it'll just come up with a 2-page thing that's just made up. But it doesn't seem like it. Like it looks really well done. It pulls a lot of personal anecdotes. It's nice in our world of Trio because we're around a long time. There's a lot of information, legs, regs, stuff on the internet. It knows what Trio is. It knows the difference between an SSS and a talent search and an upper bound or McNair. Like it kind of knows how to craft that language around that. So how you use that is interesting. And in terms of even what we do, like it can be really nice if you're just trying to create a letter to parents or students. Like it can do a good job of kind of creating a first draft or editing stuff you're working on, right? You can take up your draft of it and say, hey, I want you to edit this letter. And keep in mind, this is for parents of students who are in a talent search program. And you could even maybe say, like, hey, the majority of these families, English is like a second language. So keep that in mind when you're crafting the language. Or if you're putting a letter out to students, be like, hey, can you write this for a ninth grade audience versus a college audience? And it like is smart enough to kind of adapt the message to meet your audience, which is something like I have no idea how to do that. Like, how would I write the same thing, but for like 6 different audiences? And you can take that, you can take your version of what you're trying to say and then use these tools to be like, change it to make it more appealing to my particular audience is a really interesting aspect. And I think one, at least for the SSS programs on, like we are going into a grant writing season. This tool wasn't publicly available. Like this feels like an essential tool to help. Like I don't think that's way too complex, large of a document. It's not going to just pump out a proposal for you. But if it's designed to be like very much section by section and these like very bite-sized chunks of how to write it, like it is built to do that. This thing, like these writing softwares are built to write programs, procedures, dry government grants. Like, yeah, you are very much falling behind if you don't incorporate that in your process.
I was just about to ask if anybody was planning to use ChatGPT as a part of their grant writing process if you're in SSS and starting to write out the grants next? Because I mean, that's the thing, that they haven't said anything about not using it, and I feel like the disadvantages of not using it and maybe not being as competitive, the stakes are too high. Yeah.
I would say if you currently have, like, you're probably here because you're already in a grant, so you have previously funded sections. Like, you can even do stuff of like, here is the prompt that's on the application, review my answer and tell me what I'm missing. Like, you can just do stuff like that and it'll like read and analyze. Because to me, sometimes with students, that could be an interesting piece. If you have like a really long article you want to read, you can have chat GPT like summarize it for you as well. It's not just about creating content. It can be a way to like make things more like digestible too. So like I'm curious. I don't know if it works with the free one, but with the pro, you can like upload full PDFs. So there's other kind of AI tools too, where like, let's say you're in college and you have some 40-page reading assignment of some article. Like, you can kind of put it in there and be like, summarize this, and it'll give you like a 2-page summary. But like, to your point, like, that seems like you're missing out on the academic experience, though it would be great for us where it's like, I got a lot going on in my day. I don't want to read all these reports. My institution has me on committees. They're sending me all kinds of crap. Like, it's an amazing tool for professionals, but I do think there's some more nuance there for our students.
I think one thing as professionals we kind of have to be aware of is, I think you need to almost self-redact anything personal or identifying before you send it up there, because remember, what you send becomes part of the model, right? So if you put too much information that kind of singles out your students or your program, it could have some real negative connotations. So I would sanitize things before submitting it, like if you were going to do parts of an old grant or something.
All right, I'm gonna do a thing here quick because I know some folks are joining this call because they're new to it and they just want to learn more about it. So again, this was the slide I put together a couple months ago for our Oregon peeps. So I won't go into quite as much depth. I just want to kind of show people some of the AI tools that are out there and go over some general overview. So in this, we specifically, and I know we've mostly been talking a little chat GPT, that's kind of the more popular one, but there are ways to use AI, whether it's for image generation, writing, just general productivity, creating presentations, generating video, building websites. Like, there's a lot of different tools that are on there. So I kind of, and this is being recorded. You guys can do screenshots, write this stuff down. A lot of what I do is just show you websites that I poked around with to be like, all right, what kind of toys are out there that utilize the AI software? So the first one, ChatGPT. This is a language model developed by OpenAI. OpenAI is actually a nonprofit. It was basically made by all the famous, like, oh man, I don't know all their names, but like everybody who is worth $300 billion from tech firms. They basically got together like, hey, let's like, this technology could change the world. Let's keep it in our hands and like do it the right way instead of making it for profit. So like right now it still runs as like a nonprofit that's trying to be like for the greater good. But obviously that's also like I don't know, there's a lot of movies that make fun of the greater good as being the bad guys. So do with that what you like. But as of right now, it's a lot of these tech geniuses that built this model. And when they made it live, everyone had been working on it. But once theirs went live and was free, everyone else just had to like snap their fingers and move fast. Otherwise, they were going to fall behind in terms of the AI software. So it can perform a lot of tasks such as answering questions, writing essays, creating conversational agents. Like, you can just talk with it back and forth and work through stuff. It can translate language and do a whole lot of stuff. So in terms of like common things people use it for, it's a great way to draft documents. Now, whether you are like wanting it to edit, like, it can be a great first step. That's, I guess, how I would put it. So let's say you can kind of, I'm going to share my chat GPT up here. You can kind of see some of the stuff I've done off to the side. But like, if I was like, hey, I have like create a agenda for a weekly staff meeting for my Trio SSS program at Southern Oregon University. You could be like, all right, I'm a new director. I need to make this like, I could sit here for a couple hours and work on this and try to figure it out. Or I could do this and then just be like, okay, well, that's a decent starting point. You can do this for anything, right? So like that's a very specific use, but the idea is like, if you're just looking for like general policy creation, you want ideas around staff meetings, writing an email, you're like, I need to create an email to advertise the Trio SSS program for instructors at my institution, right? Create an email to just advertise SSS programs for instructors at my institution. There we go, right? It just kind of gives you ideas. It says a great, and let's say you read this and you're like, oh, can you make that last response more informal? And it'll just kind of think for a second and give you a slightly better version. And again, I'm using the free one. This just requires me to like sign up and attach it to it. But if you love these tools and you're willing to, even out of your own pocket, pay the $20 a month, you get like a better version. And it even allows you to do stuff where like you can upload kind of templates. So maybe you have a lot of mission and a lot of information around your program or your organization, your institution. You can kind of save a lot of that stuff. So it saves time. So when you're asking it to do prompts, you can kind of do that within the context of your own program. You don't need to like generate the prompts every single time. I kind of want to pause there real briefly and just ask, does anybody else have thoughts or questions or ways they've utilized this for maybe some of the newer folks to this specific tech?
My project assistant has used it to create images for flyers and stuff.
That I've ever asked. Okay, this is the text-based model. I'm going to show you later the websites where you can do, yes, you can do the AI stuff. And there's a chance she's using one of the ones we presented for the Oregon stuff. But you could probably take that, because I tend to write like one sentence descriptions, but you could like take this whole description here that says, it's basically telling you like, take this and use an image generating software. So it can even give you the words.
And it's the same concept. So when you type that in, it would generate this flyer, and there'd be, so if I said a diverse group of students, it would pull those images.
Yeah, here, let me show you. I'm jumping a bit here. So Adobe Express is a free one. Oh, let me get it. A different tab. You know what? I was just about to jump to images. We're going to do that. These are 4 that I found. Some are weird and make you like use a Discord. Some are free up to like a certain amount. Adobe Express is just the free one. So obviously a lot of people have Adobe programs. Express is like their version of Canva that they're trying to keep up with. But text to image, right? So let's say I take, I took that entire description. Okay, hold on. I'm going to take my first prompt, the like 1 sentence prompt, and I'm just going to put it in here, text to image. So I hit generate. And it takes a minute, and it's going to give me a first version. And then I can take that first version and I can attach different styles to it, make it chaotic, make it neon, make it layered paper. I want it to be photographic. I want it to be more art. Obviously, it's gotten way better at people. You can still see the hands get a little funky. Like those aren't real fingers, but people are hard. If you can stay away from people or make it animated, like again, fingers and hands, still working on. But it's just way better than what it used to look like. So I tend to stay away from people, but like if you want it to be more of like a graphic done with layered paper for whatever reason, because you want it to be more artistic, I just hit that and it will give me images. So again, people's hard, but if you focus on like nature, I actually did this for our cover of our program we're coming up here. I was like, it's taking place at the coast. So I was just like, create a image of the Oregon coast in spring. It has like layered paper and it's going to be graphic because I have those things clicked on there, but it'll do this. Like that's kind of fun looking. Let's say I want it to look more like a photo and I want it to be just like more digital art. I want it to be a little more cutting. Like that. There we go. I could go away from like digital and make it more painted, right? Like there's ways to yeah, you could do steampunk. You can do like again, this is just a free one. And then let's say I took that like giant description that Chat GPT gave me for the students having fun tutoring. We'll see this. I've never put this many words in, so it's probably going to give us sane humans and they're going to look a little off, but okay, that kind of creepily kind of looks like humans, honestly. So these are just, I took that giant explanation that ChatGPT gave me that was way more detailed, and I feel like that's a great haircut, but I feel like you're getting better responses here. So let me pause here real quick because I know I kind of jumped over to some of the images. So this is just one example. And then you can just download these things, you can inject them in. It's not great with words either if you're trying to create like how would I describe it, right? Like I want like a flyer or a form and I want it to have like words or signs. It kind of gets confused and we'll just have random letters and stuff at times. So any other questions? I'm just pausing here on images. All right. Next is writing. So I already went over like Chat GPT, but Notion can be like it's like one of these add-ons, right? Like the extensions. So it's meant to be more of like it's like a OneNote. If some of you are Microsoft campuses, you like have OneNote. Notion like is that. So it's a way for you to just like stay organized, and it just kind of has AI writing software built into your OneNote. And then Write is just like a competitor of GPT, right? There's a couple of these. Claude AI is another one I had heard with where you can, same thing, you can like more drop in PDFs or documents and it'll kind of create summaries of those for you. I saw in the chat there. I will, give me a second. I can do this actively now. And then I'll try to post this on the website itself when I put the recording for people not watching live. Okay, that's a copy of this so you can kind of have examples of everything we're going through. All right, there's productivity. There are ways there's a lot of mundane tasks that you could probably have AI do for you. So browse AI, do I still have that up here? That's Bardeen. Browse AI, I use Browse AI because I'm in the world of like creating professional development, right? So COE, our national trio folks, they do this too. And I just like to know like, well, what kind of sessions and workshops are they doing? But I don't want to have to go look at their website every single week and scroll through. So Browse AI, there's kind of two things it can do. It can either scrape data or you like program it to like scrape data. When I say scrape, it's like, let's say you're on a web page that has like a ton of scholarship information. You can manually go through, copy and paste and put them in a spreadsheet. that kind of like gets the information you're looking for. Or you can use Browse AI to do like a scrape. It kind of uses a robot to say like, hey, like put in an Excel format all of the scholarships and like the amount, the due date, what are the requirements. It'll like use AI to recognize the information you're looking for, and it'll organize it for you in a spreadsheet. And what I use it for is, let's say it's a spreadsheet that you want to check every month. So if you're at like community college and you're like, I want to know if any of the four-year institutions are changing their scholarships that are offering, it'd be great if every month I could go on the website and just see if anything changed. I don't need to know details, but just tell me if something changed so I can see an amount, a due date, maybe a new scholarship. You can build in, and you get so many credits for free every month. You can kind of like build in tools that every month it'll go on to that webpage, see if there's changes. If there's none, you won't get an email. But if there was changes, once a month, it'll just let you know. And you can just either view the changes in like an email format, or you just know to actually go look at that page and see what kind of new scholarships they built. I use it for like COEs. So every single day, because it's the only one I'm using right now, and I think it's like 50 free credits. So every day I'm using 1 credit, and it just scans their entire professional development page. And if anything changed, they let me know. So every time they do some new workshop, I'm just like aware of it and can kind of use that however I see fit. So there's probably a lot of sites and a lot of stuff we do for students just to monitor information that you can just have like AI do for you. And depending on how often you need to do it, you can build a lot of these kind of robots, and they have a lot of videos and tutorials about like how to use it. But it's just a great way to either extract a lot of information off of like a big long page to save yourself time, or just monitor any kind of changes going on some pages. So I like using that one. This other one is called Bardeen. So it's meant to be like your own personal assistant to a certain degree. So like, let's say I am in my calendar and I'm like, oh man, I need to reschedule this, or everybody that's going to this, I need to send them a message that I'm late. So it's an extension that I open up, and it's going to take a moment here, but I can have it just do stuff, right? Send an email to all of the current event participants about waiting in the meeting room. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff and prompts, and you can search for things. If you're like, there's a lot of mundane tasks that I bet a robot could do, of like, hey, I'm running 10 minutes late. Like, send an email to all the participants of the next meeting about running late. I just click that and I'm done. That's it. The AI is already connected to my email. It's connected to my calendar, and it just sends it for you. So instead of, not that it takes like that long to go in and like hit participants and send a message. Like there's a way to do it that isn't that much longer, but it's kind of got these cool AI things for a lot of just mundane tasks. It just has all these built-in features where, as long as you're willing to connect it to Outlook or your Map or your calendar, whatever applications you're using, it can just kind of auto communicate for you. Now you got to be comfortable enough to let it kind of say whatever it wants. Like if you have to have a certain, you can't be super controlling about how you want to frame the message, but for simple stuff, it can be kind of nice and save you some time. So again, it's more about like what is out there, and do you think this could make your day-to-day life easier? Like go play around with it, watch some YouTube videos of people using it, and figure out if you can introduce this in your life. Presentations, there's a couple of them. Slides AI is an extension within Google Slides. It's similar to Chat GPT, but it's going to need a lot more information from you, but it kind of will build a PowerPoint from like scratch, right? Or at least give you an outline of a PowerPoint. So Tome, same thing, beautiful AI. It'll kind of like create an initial template of a presentation based on that like initial prompt. Let me see if I can quickly show you. I think I still have it connected. I think this was, this entire presentation was made by AI, by the way, I want to say. So apologies for the slight delay. I'm winging this. I may not have it still actively downloaded as an extension, but somewhere up here there would be like, if anybody knows or uses this, like I want to say there should be an extensions. I probably don't have any downloaded right now, which is why I'm not seeing it. But there would be an extension, and there would be a slides AI tool that would pull up a prompt to kind of show you. So again, the point of today isn't to like walk you through necessarily how to do all this. Like, use the internet, right? Like, please just like go to YouTube. If any of these seem interesting, if you want to poke around the sites, most of them let you like play around and test certain elements of it for free. There's usually some paid subscription at a higher level. But if you're somebody who does a lot of presentations, or you're out in schools and you're constantly doing stuff in front of students or classrooms, like it can be a helpful tool just to save yourself like a ton of time. Or if you have kind of a written outline document and you're like, ugh, I just don't want to translate it onto a bunch of slides. Like, it's a way to just take a lot of good information you already have and just translate it into a more presentation mode. Video, I know not like tons of people do videos necessarily, but there are ways to either, let's say you're somebody who does long videos, like for Oregon, I do kind of these video updates where I just talk forever. I could go to Opus Clip and take my long, like 8-minute video, give it to them, and it uses its AI software to be like, what's the most interesting stuff you said? And it'll just give me like a 20-second clip that's formatted for like TikTok with like closed captions already on it. So again, you only have like so many credits to use. But if you're ever like, we will sometimes make videos and updates, but like we would love to put more stuff on our social media, to have stories, like that is what social media is now. It's the videos, the short little clips. So this can be a really good way to kind of take maybe larger form stuff you're doing, or if you have recordings of workshops you've done, and just kind of see what kind of more small snippets of the larger workshop you can digest and put out into this. If you want to use this one, it'll generate just like, it'll give you the like kind of realistic looking human just reading a script. If you want to go like full Terminator mode and just have robots talk to your students instead of you. But it, again, kind of cool to mess with. And then Runway allows you to just full on generate, like, Runway's cool because you can take a text and it can turn it into like a moving image or video. That is kind of neat sometimes. So I've seen it just be a landscape and it'll turn it into like an actual like moving, it'll make the clouds move. And so again, I know we don't do tons of video stuff, but if you're somebody that is interested, these are some cool tools that I've seen. As far as websites, I know most of us work within our institution's framework, but there are some websites out there that'll either build it from scratch, or a lot of website tools that are currently used, more the modern ones, not so much like WordPress and stuff, but they have AI software built into it. So it's one thing to put content on a website. It's another to like, wouldn't it be nice if it like faded in from the side as you scroll down? Like, I don't know how to do that. I'm not a coder. That's where you could be like, hey, take this heading and have it fade in from the left, and it'll just kind of like automatically do it for you. So that's kind of how AI is more embedded within website design. It's more like the design elements. Stephen, can you maybe chime in? I just kind of saw your thing about the Google Voice. Which piece were you referring to with that?
Oh, I was talking about the thing that you were having, saying that it was like you're going to be 10 minutes late or whatever. So the I don't even know what it was called. Not the presentations one, the productivity. Yeah.
Yeah, the Bardeen. So it'll send like
yeah.
a voice recording to students.
Oh,
Or no,
okay,
you can Google Voice it and it'll text students automatically, right?
Yeah. No, it was more of a question, like wondering, like, could I set it up? Because if that's the case, like, where you're talking about having it sent out to specific people, I would just have my 3 different schools set up to be like, hey, Shelly, I'm not making it to school today. Like, are you gonna attend Saturday Academy, whatever? Like just letting them know en masse. I don't know. I'm just giving an example of something that it might be able to do, because Google Voice uses an online component.
I don't know that answer, but maybe. I don't know. Great question. Okay, so this was my kind of just shooting out some of the different the software, the ideas that are out there. So I know this was like way broader than just using like the chat GPT, but I would love to maybe pause me talking for a second, just ask like, are there anybody else out there who have found, whether it is just the chat GPT or any other tools that you have found useful just within your own professional environment?
I use Grammarly a lot. I don't know. I mostly use it for grammar, but I know they have an AI section for um option with the paid version. I use that for editing documents, proofreading. They have different um audiences that you want to work with, and casual and formal. I find it helpful for a lot of things.
Some of this, like, while it sounds really appealing, I almost like don't have time to figure out how to use it to even like apply it to make my life easier because yeah, I don't know. It's sometimes just like learning the tool is too much of an ask for me to like, but I can see how it can start sneaking in to help me, especially some of the more user-friendly ones.
I know for our program, like we, similar to Michelle, we've had to come up with images for t-shirt designs for our summer program. And even if it's just like a basic idea, but I also use it, Chat GPT, for coming up with summer themes, summer ideas, and then ideas for speeches as well. That's, I definitely have never copied and pasted something, but I have had it like bring some cohesion to all of my thoughts, if that makes sense.
Totally. Welcome, Michael. We were just having some technical issues. I got Michael here.
I am so sorry. I was in a board of trustees meeting for the college, and then they're like, "Oh, we need you for this 3-2-1 event." And I was like, "I'll drop everything I'm doing." And I'm so sorry. I apologize.
We've had a great time. It's been more of a community event. We've kind of a bunch, but what's a good summary? I kind of showed them a bunch of just the tools that exist out there within all the different contexts, whether it's writing, video, image generation. So just kind of sharing the tools and encouraging them to research and find out kind of some of those pieces there. I think we started with a conversation around some of more the ethical piece, and maybe it'd be good to circle back to that because I know you were really excited to share
It
a little more.
It all starts with the ethical piece. It's this AGI, this AI, this new technology that we have. It's not going to take over the world. It's not the end of everything. It is an industrial revolution moment. If you don't know how to pull the steam levers, your analog jobs is gone. So people every day are losing jobs to people who know how to prompt these AIs. And so we at our college, teachers aren't teaching people how to use it. It's students think it's cheating. People think it's unethical. I, for instance, was tutoring a student who was a first-year comp sci student, and they were having problems in their first Java course 3 weeks into it. And so had to talk. I sat down with them, asked them a bunch of questions that seemed like they were useless, but really it was to test his ethics, and his honesty. And once I realized that he was not a cheating kind of person, we took the first of his 5 questions, put it into Chat GPT, and then ended up making pages and pages of extra questions, deeper explanations. And so by the time we got done with this, I looked at him and I said, "Hey, who's cheating? You, who took 1 question and then added 5 more questions and then spent an hour learning this, or your fellow student who just did one question. I was like, your fellow student is cheating themselves because they're not using this tool to push themselves farther than the teacher is pushing. And so I changed this person's life. They're actually not a computer science major anymore. It's just he realized that it was a language that at his age, he wasn't going to have an easy time learning. So now he's just finishing his standard college degree, but now he's using this in his history class. He's using this in his English classes, and it's given him the confidence that he needs to succeed. You know, he's in his mid to late 30s, and our brains, you know, aren't as spongy and as awesome as they were in our younger years. So it is super important that when you have an employee, that you do not exploit them for your own benefit. If you have a human being who's doing all of your work and making you look good for it, you're cheating. And whether that employee is an AGI from ChatGPT, Gemini from Google, or a real human being named Steve Pepperschmidt from Sausalito, you cannot unethically use the people that you're working with, because human resources are a resource. So if you are just using these AIs and these AGIs to do all your work, you're cheating yourself, you're cheating your coworkers, you're cheating your company, you're cheating the people that it's going to help. But if you use it for its true purpose of being an aggregator and a photocopier and a collector, then there's nothing ethically wrong with it at all. And so I end up programming so much into, I use ChatGPT mainly just because it's been out for so long. As Gemini, Google's their Baird upgrade gets bigger, I'm sure I'll use it more. But it is a very important tool that does have the power to cheat, but we will know if people are using it wrong because they won't be able to perform without it. So definitely, as you have your employees and your coworkers and your team members using these, make sure that they're not using them to do all their work, because you need people to be able to do work when their computer's turned off. And so if it's looked at as a simple photocopier, as an aggregator, as a personal assistant that you don't have to pay any money, you just have to be nice to, and you put more work into it than it pulls out, you're fine. If you find yourself having it do all the work and you're only putting in a little, that I believe that's where the ethical problem is. So how I judge if I'm ethically using it correctly is, did I put in more work than the output? Because the idea is to put this much in and have it bring it down to this, so it's palatable and easily easily used by the people that are using it. So my only advice on ethics is, if you feel it's doing all your work for you, then you're using it unethically. And how I look at it is if you have a personal assistant, a program coordinator, just somebody that is meant to work under you, if they're doing all of your work and you're taking the glory, you're cheating them. And that's the same exact thing with all of our AI. It's there to help us. It's a tool. But if we aren't doing most of the work ourselves in it, that's probably when you're using it unethically, most likely. In today's current, I mean, I'm sure in 2 years, we're going to press a button and it's just going to build us 14 websites and already generate a logistics chain. But as of right now, it's at a place where you can see when your students are using it. You can see when people are using it, because people copy and paste and it puts out the same stuff. So as someone that is delegating out work to other people, it's important to make sure that your team is doing things correctly and ethically. So it's important that we learn how to use this so we know when people around us are using it solely, because it can make you look really good. If you use it right, you could pass the bar exam if you do it right. But I want someone to pass the bar exam without ChatGPT, so when I'm in court, they actually know the laws. So yeah, just my only advice is, don't be scared of it. Learn how to use it, because if you don't, you're going to get left behind. And expect to put more work in prompting it into what you get out. Don't ever expect that you're going to type 6 sentences into it and it's going to spit out a 14-page essay that is just absolutely amazing. So if it still feels like work, it's just your output is better and shinier, you're using it correctly. If you're using these tools and they're not making, or they make it seem super easy, you're probably using it unethically, and you're probably gonna lose your skills or never gain the skills. So that's a good short synopsis of how I judge if I'm ethically using it right. If it feels like a tool that's helping me, then I know I'm ethical. If I feel like I have someone doing all the work for me, I know that I'm not working with it enough. And that's just the scale that I currently use to judge if I'm ethically using it right.
Michael, do you have, what are like some practical ways Trio people could use it? Because a lot of these folks are like, I've not really dabbled in just even the basic chat GPT much. Like, what are the simple ways I could use this to make their life easier?
So I had to send out a bulk email to 736 people that were in Bloomin' in our system. And it was because I was taking over this new position and I need to let everybody know that I'm, now interim and, basically introduce myself. So I'm sitting down with one of my high ups and I'm typing something out. She's like, this is absolutely amazing. Like, you just came up with this. And I was like, no. I moved my laptop over and I was like, ChatGPT did. She's like, what? And I was like, yeah. And I scrolled back up and I said, look how much information I put in this to get these 3 paragraphs out of it. So what I use this product for EOC is to smooth out my ideas, to make them more palatable, to change an entire tone of a paper, a speech, an email, anything by simply, after I programmed it, after I have what I want, maybe I want it to be from the point, from the speech of someone who's a surfer or somebody who is exceptional in a certain area. You speak to these things like they're human. Basically, I don't speak like that. I want it from this perspective. So it just really, anytime you need help drafting verbiage for anything, whether it's you're applying for a grant, whether you're sending emails to people, your AI is just an aggregator. It allows you to, it does all the searching for you by it telling it what to search for. And so I use it as a personal assistant. I find I'm using it more and more every couple weeks. You can start doing things like having it organize receipts. You can have it start organizing your calendar. It's the more you play with it, the more you'll learn. But at first, what you're going to get out of it is, if you use Dolly, which is OpenAI, which that's who owns ChatGPT, Dolly is their picture generator. ChatGPT is their chat bot. And so you would use the Dolly to design images. You would use the OpenAI's chatbot, ChatGPT, to write, to find you formulas, to find math, to find equation solutions. Pretty much you have, anytime you would Google something, you're going to Google it just to have it, to find out about it. Like you Google a business, you Google a small topic, and maybe you go to a Wikipedia or a couple pages. But what we really want is we want all of the information combined together, aggregated down, and I want all the info. I don't want just Wikipedia telling me something. I want the internet to search itself all at once, find all the pieces, glue them together, remove what's extraneous, and hand me a concentrate of the most known information. And so when you need to deep search things, the ChatGPT, Baird, any of these, and there's more and more every day, all they do is they allow you to search pretty much the entire internet all at once without having to remember all this data, because our human brain is too simple for it. It'll explode if we did what these things did. So for me, it's graphic design. For me, it's opening a way bigger information highway versus me going, oh, I can Google this, I can Google this, I can Google this. So instead of taking arbitrarily 2.5 hours to research one specific area, one specific topic, I can now take the information I know, type it into ChatGPT, and put in, explanation of what I want. And my favorite ChatGPT command of all, I end almost every single command with this: do you understand? ? And what it is it's a double check system to where not only is it doing what you want it to do, but you're also saying, I want you to run a check system to make sure you understand what I told you to do. So that's your $1 million tip of the day is you can give 15 commands, you can give 150 commands in a prompt. It doesn't matter. But if you end it with, do you understand, especially when it's something complicated, it makes it do basically a redundancy check on itself. So for right now, I think it's important that everybody signs up for ChatGPT and starts using it, especially if you, as a teacher, you have to, because you have to know when your students are, going over it. As a leader, you have to know because you need to make sure your employees are working and not cheating, because you want teammates, not freeloaders. And then just as someone working for a trio, it's going to be a huge help in graphic design. And even if you don't use the graphic design portion of it, it's going to be a major help in just cleaning up and creating speeches, emails, letters, essays. I'm huge on working with students when they're writing their essays for scholarships. Have ChatGPT clean it up. You write it out, all your pages, all your words like you're supposed to have. And then, have it put those final polishes on there. And then what we do as users is we learn from those polishes. So the next time we're doing this, we don't need to use ChatGPT because we're using ChatGPT to teach us how to do it better. So I guess that's another ethical thing you could look at. If you're using it as a learning tool for yourself while you're using it, you're using it ethically. Because cheaters don't want to learn, cheaters just want to get by.
While you were talking to, the idea of just play with it, have some fun, right? So I was trying to be like,
you cannot break it. Everyone should sign up for free ChatGPT. There's no need to pay for it, and just start having fun with it. And the best thing is, actually, hold on one moment. I am helping a client right now.
Yeah.
We're still on. Okay, but it hasn't.
So one example, I told it to create a summary of Mean Girls, the movie, told through a lens of Shakespearean author. This is delightful. You can kind of read it on the screen here, but just like this could be a great prompt, like icebreakers, right? Like get your students used to like using it too, but like find a way to just do something that's fun and funny. Like this is why the whole creative industry gets a little worried, because like I don't know that it's awesome at creating like original story, but like if you're just trying to repackage stuff works, whether it's Shakespeare or Mean Girls, like you can have some funny stuff out there. So I like to just put absurd things like this in.
So your first prompt of create a summary of Mean Girls, movie told through the lens of a Shakespearean author. Sometime when you're bored, you got a few minutes, do a new chat and have your prompt larger. Hey, and speak to it like a human. Hey, I am wondering what it would be like if Mean Girls was told from this perspective. The reason I want to know this is because of A, B, and C, and really start learning to build out your prompts, because that's where the magic is. That's where the minutia to the plan is it's all in the prompts. And as you learn to talk to it deeper, it's insane what falls out of it. Absolutely insane. But then what you do is, now that you have this, you can then go, okay, I like that, but I want to do this. Okay, no, I don't like that, but I want to do this. And you just keep working with it back and forth until you have molded what you want. But the key really, really is it's about how much gas you put in the tank. I will put in large amounts of data to get a paragraph out. But then that paragraph is freaking amazing.
You can too, if you're dealing in the world of scholarships, there's word counts, character counts. You can take a student essay they wrote. It's like, whoops, it's too long. Like fit it in 500 characters and it can help you condense and stuff.
Yeah.
So I know we're running up on a little bit of time here. I want to give other folks a chance if they have any questions or things they wanted to bring up, just now that Michael's here and brings a bit of a different, more nuanced perspective. Maybe we covered before.
Matt, I was curious, as professionals and folks who have been through forms of education, I think we do have life lessons that we know what hard work feels like. We know what hard work doesn't feel like, right? We have that discernment. And I'm just worried that like the newer generation of folks coming through, they haven't experienced that yet. And so they won't have a good like internal gut instinct about some of this stuff without some coaching. And
But you
I
say that about like the internet and computers,
sure,
right? Like we've dealt with this before.
sure.
And that's real. And how we solve that is the fact that we're all adults and we still don't even like know the entrance to this thing, is why the generations below us we're fearing this. We need to teach ourselves. And if we don't teach ourselves this now, the next generation is going to do exactly what you're talking about, Victoria. Exactly. And so you hit the nail on the head. And that's why it's so important that schools, leaders, institutions, teachers, everybody in between, bosses, coworkers, we all learn this. We all have to learn this ethically because people follow by lead. So Victoria, when you get better, when I get better, when Stephen gets better, when Michelle gets better, when everybody gets better, the people that follow us and look up to us for guidance, they're going to follow by our example. But yeah, that is a real fear. And I'm glad you have that fear, because we are at a precipice in time where if we don't learn the ethics of it, we're going to cheat ourselves. And then that generation's going to be lost. And then I don't know what comes after that. So real good fear. I mean, real good fear. Am I able to share my screen?
Yeah, you should be
Okay.
able to. I know
Okay,
we're at time, so
I just
willing to stay
real
after,
quick,
but-
I just want to show you, I'm just logging into mine right now. I just want to show you real quick the one problem that we took out of that student's he had 5 questions. He had 5 questions and we just did 1. And I just want to show you how much information we pulled off of. There we go. Okay, let me go back to the top of that. Okay, let me go back to Zoom and then share screen. And we need to just find here. Okay. Can everybody see my ChatGPT screen?
Yep.
All right. Okay. So the very first question is the first out of the 5 questions that he had for Java. This is basic Java, and he was having problems with it. So we take the first question, we copy and paste it in there, and so obviously we get the answer, we get the output. Explain the output findings. Do you understand? She's almost done with FAFSA.
Okay,
She's right at the very end of FAFSA.
It's much information, making it up.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I only asked just because it's 4 right now.
Okay.
And I know sometimes it can take between 4 hours.
Can we pause the application?
Yeah, I think
I'd
there's like
rather
a,
finish this, get this.
Do you want to take a quick look with the view that you've had and kind of judge where she is?
This is being recorded. Oh, I just paused him again right when he came back. Here you go, Mike. Oh, I may have done it again. You unmute.
Okay,
because usually
So-
you fill out a FAFSA, there's like a little code that you can fill out.
we just asked
where you can select
for explain the output findings. Because we're trying to show this isn't about finding the answer, it's about finding what makes the answer happening.
Finished.
And then do you
I
understand?
can see
And then
it.
there's a deeper explanation of it.
You are
And then I
having
say to it, I'm new to
come
Java.
back.
Could you explain that more in detail so I can understand better? Made it go deeper, made it go deeper.
And then-
What does int mean? Because int is something that's in there. So it starts telling you what int is. Oops, sorry, that was
Right.
different. This was a different one I'm showing here. Okay, we're back to where we're going. And then I was showing him how
Okay,
you could use it for writing poems and stuff. So I just started Java class in college. We're using Introduction to Java Programming and Data Structures, Volume 12. You know who it is. I'm having trouble learning the basic concepts. Please teach me Java. Do you understand? It says exactly. And so it just starts getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then I asked it to write 5 questions based upon the same. And so all of this stuff that I'm scrolling through here, and I don't know if you can see on the right side, there's a little gray bar showing me that I'm halfway down the screen. I'm only halfway down the screen. Now I'm just going to fast move this all the way down. So all of this information is off of that first question. So who cheated? This student took one question and turned it into an hour and a half so he could grasp it. Made himself more questions than he was even assigned so he could grasp it. And so that's really, this is how you know if a student is cheating or not. If there's more data being evaluated than the output of the data, they're using it correctly. If the data being evaluated is this big and they're putting out this big, then most likely they're using it incorrectly. So I just wanted to show that to you guys real quick, just because a lot of people think it's simply just putting in the question and getting the answer. And I had a math teacher, I'll leave you with this. I had a math teacher who gave us the keys to every single assignment. And then on Fridays, which was test day, he knew who was cheating because there was no keys. So, you know, we do need to pay attention to the people that we're working with. But, you know, Matt, you made a really good point. You have an essay to write for a scholarship and it's arbitrary amount of words. You take what you have and tell it to clean it up. You know, and that's a really good use of it. So yeah, just make sure that when you are using it or people you know are using it, that it's evaluating a lot of data and putting out a refined amount of data. And if you follow that, you'll be happy. And I've learned so much. My coding, just my personal coding, I've gained more in the past year than I have in probably 10 years. Instead of spending 14 hours developing one area of an Android app, I can now generate that code in an hour. And so that's really what I advise using it for, is just making us stronger in our skills.
All right. Thank you. And thanks you guys for sticking around a little longer here.
Yes.
I think this is just gonna be an ongoing thing. So the hope is to keep just addressing this in every space we're together and keep learning from each other, because it's evolving every single day. So.
Now, and as we all learn, we just need to share information, because none of us are spring chickens. You know, like we're fighting a bunch of sponges of young brain who just take it in and process it, and you know, we're getting, our Cadillacs are getting a little squeakier each year after we came off the assembly line. So it's important, you know, teamwork makes the dream work. So none of us know anything. We all know a little bit, but if we all work together, I think we'll beat these robots. I think.
Right.
So